Welcome to today's episode of The Blueprint, where we help you design your life's vision and goals one episode at a time. I am super excited for our guest today. I have singing in my voice, and she'll likely tell me, no, that's not what I should be doing. If I am a voiceover expert, I need to take the singing, the tonality out of my voice. So today's guest is Lili Lexu, a voice over industry expert, and she's giving us advice in her Get Clever About series. She is currently promoting her ebook series, Get Clever About Voice Acting and Announcing, which is aimed at helping actors and aspiring voice actors use their skills to tap into a rapidly evolving, expanding industry. The format that she uses, I love this, is similar to the For Dummies series. So I should be able to catch it really good. As you can imagine, the demand for voice talent is only exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. And Lili's ebooks provide an excellent resource for actors who wish to take advantage of this time by honing their craft, becoming a knowledgeable recording engineer, and learning how to get great gigs for themselves. So after the intro, I'm super excited to introduce you to Lili Lexu. Welcome, Lili. How are you?
Good, good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful.
I am super excited to have you. I know you heard the intro. I was tickled pink because I was saying to myself, I am certain she will let me know that all that singing and vibrato in my voice needs to come out.
No, it needs to stay in, actually. The industry's
Really?
changed completely, and it's all about personality and injecting more of who you are. So you're doing good. You're on the right track.
What? Oh my gosh. So Lili is a voiceover expert and she has an amazing ebook series. And during this time, since we help you design your life's vision and goals one episode at a time, I thought about, wow, this would be a great opportunity for you to share with our viewers and listeners about this industry. And how did you get into it in the first place?
It was kind of an accident, like a lot of good things happen in life. I was studying communications and theater, and I was working in this restaurant, and it's actually because of Howard Stern. I have to blame him for indirectly for my career. Um,
Howard Stern.
yeah, I know, it's so weird, it's kind of really weird. So I'm from a small town up in Canada, in French Canada, and he
Ah,
got his show syndicated, on the local radio station there, and he did a press
yes.
conference, and he insulted French Canadians, as he insults, everybody.
Everybody.
So
Yes.
yeah, yeah, and so the media went in a frenzy, and they just said, "Oh my god, this guy, it's incredible, he comes to this market, he insults everybody." But what it did is it gave the opportunity to other, competing radio stations, to create a campaign to tell listeners, "Look, we know you're not necessarily, Anglophone." We talk about people being Anglophone and Francophone, in Quebec, where I'm from, so English speakers are Anglophones. So they wanted to tell French speakers that, "We know you might be listening to our English-speaking radio station, but we care about you, and we know you're there." So it so happened the restaurant where I worked was a sort of a local hangout for DJs of a radio station that did a marketing campaign to kind of, recoup some of the
Yes.
insulted listeners. So, they knew I was bilingual, and so
Ah.
they had to do liners in all kinds of languages just to tell everybody, "Hey, we know you're listening and we care about you. We're not gonna insult you." So, they knew I was bilingual, and so they came to me and they said, and they had told me for about a year, like, "You have a radio voice. You should come to the radio station. But there were all these older guys, you know, and I was like, I'm not going to go to a radio station. But then they asked me and they said, you know, we know you're bilingual. Can you translate these liners and can you come to the radio station? We'll teach you, you know, and you'll record these lines. You know, you're listening to Mix 96, you know, in French or whatever.
Wow.
So I did that, and it took me like 50 times to get it right. It was like 1 or 2 lines. I kept having to do it over and over. But one of those guys became my mentor. So yeah, that's how it started. And he just taught me things as time went on, and yeah, it, you know, I ran with it. I just got my foot in the door, and I just like stayed there.
So as a result of someone coming into you all's marketplace and
Yeah,
insulting everybody
yeah,
around,
yeah.
it was like, okay,
It was
look,
good
this
for
is
me.
yes. So this is our opportunity to let everybody know. I know what you heard. I know we allowed him in our marketplace, but this is, we love you. We appreciate you. We hear you.
Yeah,
You know.
you know, what that radio station did actually was kind of revolutionary in that
Yeah.
market, because you'll never hear an English-speaking radio station speaking French to listener, even to
Ah,
listeners, even though, like, 75% of the listeners will be French. You know, so it was
interesting.
really something unusual. It was really, like, avant-garde, and it's something that no other station has done, and certainly no TV station. So it was really special that they did that to say, "We know you're there, we care about you, we're listening." So, yeah, it was actually, like, one of those things where you can, you know, tell people that you care about them, and it has good repercussions. It was
Yes,
very
and it was
successful. It was a very successful campaign for the station.
and demonstrated. So it wasn't just in words only, but they
Yeah,
demonstrated it by their actions.
yeah.
And then for you to be able to take advantage and have the gumption
To be that
and
voice, yeah,
yes, to do
yeah,
it in something that you had never done before. So that's a great
yeah.
example for us as well, is not get ready, but be ready. So when the opportunity presented itself, you took advantage of it.
Yeah, I ran. I mean, it was like one of those, you know, because those guys would tell me, "Come to the radio station," or whatever, and I was like, I just wasn't ready for it, because also, you know, they were like I said, they were these older guys. I was like, "I'm not gonna
Yes.
go to this station." But then when they came to me with something real, I was like, "I'm going," you know?
Wow.
So I took that risk, and I'm really glad I did. It really changed my life, and it kinda saved my life too, because my life was kind of like I was studying communications and theater, but I was all over the place, and w when I did that gig, and then I did more and more and more, it really gave me a purpose and a sense of like, "Okay, this is what I'm gonna do with my life." So it was a great, thing that happened.
So did you stay in radio then for a while, or that is what opened the door to doing voiceovers?
Yeah, so basically, well, I never ended up on the radio. I just ended up doing lots of voiceover gigs that were aired on the radio. So, but obviously at the beginning, because my mentor was a radio DJ, I did a lot of radio commercials and things like that. And then eventually it kind of branched out, but and obviously the internet changed a lot of things for everybody, as kind of social media is doing now for people
Yes.
who were kind of born with the internet.
Yeah.
So for us, the internet was a whole new world, and then I got a lot of work on the internet after, you know? So,
Interesting.
yeah, so, but yeah, so it definitely started in radio, and that's kinda what led led the path.
Interesting. And so how long have you been doing this now? Since way back then it seems like, but I'm sure it
Yeah,
hasn't.
like 20 like, I it's 1998 is when I started, so that's like
Wow.
23 years, yeah, yeah.
Interesting. And so now do you help other people do voiceovers? How does that being in the industry for so long, how does that morph into who you are? How did you morph into who you are today?
Well, you know, it's funny because when my mentor kinda took me under his wing, you know, and taught me everything he knew. He told me how to set up my studio, he taught me how to read scripts and everything, how to do business and everything, and so, over the years, as I started becoming independent and doing voiceovers full time, people always ask me, "How did you get into it? And how do you do this? And how do you do that?" And as time goes by, it becomes this question that you can't answer over like a cup of coffee or even a dinner or even a sleepover. Like it's just not enough time to
Wow.
really answer people. So I decided over the years, I love writing. I've always been like a journal. I've always had a journal. I always take notes. And I'm also kind of that person that people call for advice. I don't know why that is, but I don't really necessarily am better than anybody else at fixing things, but for some reason people kind of call me for advice. And so the combination of loving to write and giving people advice and people asking me how to get into voiceovers and or people who are stalling in their career and wanted to go further, asking me for advice, kind of culminated in me writing these books, the Get Clever series, Get Clever About Voice Acting and Announcing. And that really it always felt like it was not an if but a when I was going to do it. But it certainly took me a long time. It took me like 3 years because I was working and it's hard to do multiple things at the same time, as I'm sure you know. So
Yes.
you got to have focus. And I was like, for 3 years, every time I had a spare moment, I would just write and write and write. And my writing at the beginning was kind of, crappy. So I had to like get better, because I was like, I want people to read this and really get something out of it. And it has to be
Yes.
professional. So I got some coaching and it took me a long time to get it to a point where I thought it was presentable and acceptable.
Yes.
And it's just been great because ever since the books are out, people can read them and they're affordable. My whole thing about also the industry is coaching can be very expensive. Like it's
Yes.
not an easy industry to get into. Um, and so the books really aim to take everybody from like point A to like Z, like just all the way there to
Okay.
get as much information as possible. So then they can get coaching, but they kind of know where to start. So
Yeah.
it's been honestly so rewarding because people reach out and they've read the book and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much. This has been so helpful." And I'm like, "Oh, this is so rewarding." Because for 3 years I was writing the book going, is anybody gonna read this? I hope this is helpful. And it looks like it is, so I'm really grateful about that.
And so when you help people, does it have to be someone that is majoring in communication who wants to go into voiceover, or could like an average Jane like myself who woke up one day and decided, you know what, I let me try it. Let me just I'm curious. Let me try it.
Well, you're no average Jane, let me tell you that. So that's number 1. But, um, anybody can get into it. The thing we have to realize in anything that we do is it requires effort. Like I was saying, even me writing the book took me 3 years. It was a long process, right, to get it to a point that's professional. So you have to be realistic about, the journey that you're gonna take if you wanna do this, right? So it's not gonna happen overnight. You can get beginner's luck. That does happen, and that's
Yes.
great when it happens because it gives you confidence. But the thing is, even if you don't get beginner's luck, you have to just realize that you have to make a long-term investment. And it can take, 2 or 3 years before you get good at something. That's normal. That's just us learning new things. But that's why you don't need to be a professional. If you're an actor, you have a bit of a head start because a part of the job is acting. So you're going
Ah,
to already know some things, right? But if you're
okay.
not, you can learn it. There's nothing in the industry that you can't learn. It could
Okay.
take you longer. It could take, you could be quicker at it. Um, but as long as you come in going, even if you get beginner's luck and you are an actor, it still takes a long time to know what you're doing. Like
Okay.
it's just like anything that you learn, right? So you have to be patient and
Yes.
realistic about it. So that's kind of also why I wrote the book, to just really give a trajectory of saying like, look, this is not, if you fail after the first year, you have not really failed.
Oh,
You just
I
don't have
love that.
enough experience. You're
I
just you're just
love it.
training, you're learning, so too many people give up too easy, and that's something that's frustrating for me too, because people ask me all these questions and then they start and then they stop and you go, "No, you just got started." Like you
Oh
have to keep
my gosh.
going, right? So that's my sort of big message about helping people, is that don't get discouraged after 1 or 2 years because you're not booking work or it's not going the way that you want. After 5 years, then you can say, "Okay, I tried everything." But in the first 3 years, you're kind of learning. So
Lily, I'm glad that you shared that because that is in that alone, that's a life lesson. After the first year, you think you failed, but you haven't failed. You haven't put in enough time to even get the return on the investment. And you mentioned that.
Yeah.
It's important to know that it takes an investment of time, of resources, of learning, and don't quit too soon.
Yeah.
Oh my
A
gracious.
lot of people quit too early. They quit too early, and we do that in all kinds of things in life, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. There's one book that I find really helpful, I think it's called One Big Thing or something like that, One Big Thing, and, it's all about trying to do one thing, and when you try to do just one thing and you put all of your energy into it, you'll get a return on your investment maybe a little bit quicker because you're doing one thing, right? But when we're doing multiple things, like you might have another job and you're trying to get into voiceovers, you have to be patient with yourself. You have to allow yourself to just learn and make mistakes,
Yes,
you
give
know?
yourself
Yeah.
permission
Yeah.
to fail and for it to take time. Oh my gracious! So now, is this something that can be done from home, or do you have to go into a studio? How flexible is it?
It is flexible and that you can work from home, but you do have to have an environment. Like, you can see me now in my studio, right? And so it's quiet. And that's sometimes hard for people if you live in
Yes,
the city, if you have,
a dog,
noisy
anything.
neighbors, a dog, any babies, kids, especially now with the pandemic. I mean, people
Yes.
working from home, homeschooling. I mean, it's just a nightmare right now. So, in theory, yes, you can work from home. You don't have to go to a studio. But one of the challenges that we all go through, and there you can overcome them, but it takes, again, time and patience,
Okay.
and this is usually the part people give up, right? When they have to build their studio, like, even if it's in a closet, they're just like, "No, I can't do this, but it's
Yes.
all learnable, it's all doable, but it just takes time to figure out what the best area in your home is gonna be, when to work, how to do it, all those things, so but yes, you can do it from home, as long as you have, like, good internet. That's
Okay.
the primary thing.
Oh my gosh. Now that is one thing we have seen during this pandemic is that a strong internet is critically important because while you're in your studio, you've got other people doing things around you that are drawing on the internet. So you need
Yes.
everything to stay connected and stay connected well.
Oh, yeah, it's so important, and in audio, also, you're transferring large audio, folders, like video is very,
Ah,
very heavy, but
yes.
audio is heavy as well. So you wanna have a good connection so that you can transfer files easily, and sometimes clients wanna be on Zoom and, there's all kinds of things going on where or when you record remotely with other studios, so that can
Um,
happen too as you kind of move up the food chain of voiceovers, big studios are gonna wanna hire you, and then you have to have a good connection because the audio gets transmitted via the internet. So
wow.
a reliable connection becomes important as you go along in your career.
And so so then you're a business owner then, right? Your voice is your commodity. Your voice is your product. So talk to us about taking care of your tool, of your product, your voice.
It is, people often don't view it like that. They're like, "Oh, I'm an artist," but no, you're selling your art, which is, in our case, the voice. So, one way to take care of my voice is, singing, actually. You brought up singing earlier on. I don't know if you sing, but singing is a
I
great
do.
way there you go, is a great way to take care of your instrument. Singing, honestly, it's kinda like Botox for the voice. It's like it just makes you sound, amazing, and it makes your voice very, very, steady, and it also teaches you control about your instrument. You're speaking all day, so you start to know, your different kind of voices, the hush voice, the more projected voice, all these kinds of voices. So singing is a very, very, very great way to take care of your instrument.
But I just want you to know I'm going to credit you once, Lily. Then after that, I'm owning it. Both that singing is Botox. It's like Botox for the voice. So
It
I
is.
want you to know next praise team rehearsal that I go to, I'm going to say I'm taking Botox, and they're going to be looking for it in here, but it's like no, actually our voices.
It's how good you
Amazing.
sound. It's how good you sound and how good you sound for how long. That's
Ah,
the thing, because as we age, the voice changes as well. So if you sing all the time and you're taking care of your voice, you're warming it up obviously before you're
yeah.
singing, and you're singing, you're drinking a lot of water. That's very important.
Mhm.
And protecting your neck. If you live in cold areas, you want to protect your neck always.
Yeah.
If you do those things, your voice will stay beautiful for very, very long time. Yeah.
And so because and so that's important because I do live in in a cold area. So I typically have a scarf or something or collared shirts and things like that to keep my voice protected. But I also like the fact that you said because if we take care of our instrument and our tool and our product, that we could do this into a
Yeah.
very long time because they don't have to see you to do
That's right.
voiceovers.
That's right. It's still the industry, and obviously, young people will always be in demand. We love young
Yes,
people. Young people are hot.
yes,
We always want young people. But
always.
as you get older, because we don't see your face, it's true. You can if you take care of your instrument, you can work for many, many years, a lot longer than you would, let's say, on screen if you're an actor. Now things are changing,
Yes,
but
yes.
still, I mean, we're gonna have to deal with ageism probably for still a few
For
generations, I
for some
assume.
time
Yeah.
to come. Yes. Oh my gosh, but I like that. But at the same time, see, my brain immediately went to, oh gosh, but at the same time, I don't want to gain COVID 40 either because nobody because nobody has to see me. I still want to be healthy and vibrant, even though this is an industry that you can go into. And as long as you take care of your instrument, you can do for a very long time since they
Yeah.
don't have to see you.
And I should say too that getting a cold, anything like COVID or whether it's the flu, COVID,
Yeah.
or whatever, it's you just don't, you sound nasally. Like I can't, if I have a cold, I can't work. And as
Wow.
a self-employed person, not
Yes.
working is really devastating, right? So you always want to protect that neck and take
Now
care of
that's important too, because I often say that our health is our wealth. And in
it's
this industry,
true.
clearly,
Very
yes.
true. I was at one time this is a different situation where I overspoke. I spoke too much. I worked too much. It was one of those contracts where you have to record all day, every day for a long, long time. And I was scared of losing other clients, so I didn't tell them, I can't service you for the moment. So I still took them on, and I overworked myself, and I lost my voice from over speaking, and I couldn't work for like 2 weeks, and it was devastating. So yes, health is
Wow.
wealth. So you have to know your limits. You have to take care of yourself. Yeah, you come first. You're your
That's
business.
important.
So yeah.
That is important. Thank you for mentioning that because even this time in looking at what you want to do and exploring other options and opportunities that one may not have considered before, right?
Mhm.
That we still have to care for ourselves, take proper care. Now that brings me back. So when you're talking about singing being Botox for the voice, that gets me back to rest. How important is rest and self care in this industry?
So important. It's like you know all the right questions. You know how this goes because sleeping, if I sleep less than 6 hours in the night, I sound terrible. Like to the point where I tell clients like I'm going to record for you tomorrow because I don't want to sound that way. So it's rest is vitally important to sounding good. And also, if you have overspoken, like
Yeah,
I should say, like yelling, like back in the day when we used to go to concerts, and you yell, no yelling. You
absolutely.
cannot yell. If you do, you really need to shut it, zip it,
Wow.
and sleep is the only way. Like a few nights of sleep is the only thing that's going to get rid of it. And also, not speaking.
Mm,
So sometimes, yeah, if your voice is hoarse, if something's going on either from a cold or laryngitis, or you've lost your voice from over speaking or yelling, yeah, it's the rest is also includes not speaking, which is very, very hard for people who are extroverts and make a living with their voice.
yes, that's
So yeah.
how I keep a roof overhead, right? Yes.
Exactly. It's like when you speak for a living, that's really hard. But also, just as a human, we see how important connection is during this pandemic, right? We can't
Yes.
see people and all that, and that's really, really tough. So, not speaking, especially for extroverts, is really hard. But yeah, rest is vital. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that. I had thyroid cancer, and so the
Oh,
cancer on the thyroid and on the throat, and they mentioned, well, we have to, we have to go in and do surgery, but we just want you to know that you may not be able to speak, and you may not be able to sing for a while, and we just don't know. We just can't even tell you how long, but you would get speech therapy and all that good
oh
stuff.
dear.
So thankfully, I didn't need any of that, and I came through okay. So I definitely understand and have an appreciation for being at a place where I could potentially lose the ability to speak.
Oh, I
And
feel
yeah,
you. Oh my god, that is devastating. So you had, the surgery?
I did.
Oh, another friend of mine just had that, and I didn't know, she posted on social media, and I had no idea she went through this. This is devastating. Oh, you're a
Mhm.
strong woman. That's scary. Yeah,
Quite.
congratulations for
Thank you.
going
Thank
through
you.
that and coming out the other
Yeah.
side so positive, yeah.
Absolutely, because well, as you know, we take things for granted, and we think we'll always be able to do everything, and the thought of losing something, because that's how I make my money, is speaking, and I could not imagine what would I do? What could I do potentially. But yeah, so anyway, thank you.
Oh, thank God. Yeah. Yeah, cherish. We have to cherish our voice, yeah.
Yes,
We only know, what we don't have until we lose it. I mean, the pandemic is a huge
absolutely.
lesson in that, yeah. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, we have to just be very grateful for what we have every just one day at a time. Be grateful for what we have, invest in the things we care about, do
Yes.
things that we love, and do them fully.
And so, what about your working for yourself and having your own company and doing voiceover? How do you balance it all? Do you get time to relax and vacation and things like that? Since the work, what do they call it? Location independent? Are you able to travel and things? Well, no. Well, you tell me, because now I'm really curious, because you have the studio and everything set up, and does that travel?
Well, when I was younger, I would travel with it, and I would take a laptop, and I would work in closets,
Yes.
in hotels and things like that. But as you start to get more serious and you get bigger clients who
Ah,
demand better quality, like if you're doing TV commercials, you can't have like crappy audio. So
yes.
as you start to get more serious, that becomes less and less of a possibility. It's always possible. Like
Okay.
actually recording in a car sometimes sounds amazing. So there are some environments, yeah, because cars are kind of like acoustically a little bit optimized. You have to
Yes.
make sure there's no traffic and you're in a quiet spot. But cars can sound very, very good. And hotel rooms can as well, and closets and things like that. But as you get busier, you do wanna have a stable environment, so I would say that moving is possible, you can live anywhere you want. I lived in
Well,
Argentina, I'm originally from Canada, I'm now in Los Angeles, so you can live anywhere you want, certainly, but once you live there, you do have to set yourself up.
okay.
Yeah.
So from Argentina to California, which do you like better? I imagine both have great weather and beautiful sunshine.
Um I love California for the weather and everything, it's great. Argentina was Latino. I loved living in Spanish. My first
Ah,
language is French, so Spanish was easy for me to learn,
yes.
and I just love living. I think I have some electricity issue in here. The audio went out. The audio
So see,
professional's audio went out. Um,
no, but I'm saying this is a demonstration of what happens, right?
yes,
And the
yes,
importance of
audio
making
problems.
sure. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, and then you
Um
mentioned being your own engineer. You have to learn that, the sound and how everything needs to balance out. So
Yeah, there's a lot to learn, but it's all learnable, like, I don't wanna make it
yes,
sound people usually get stuck at one point, either it's the acting or the singing
yes,
or it's the technical stuff or it's the self-employment business stuff, there's always people are usually have one area, they just kinda go, "Oh, no, that scares me," but it's all learnable, and we're all doing these things in other areas of our lives. Honestly, the way that social apps work and our programs, like if you can send an email and put an attachment in it, you can
You
work
can
an audio
do it.
software. Like you really can. It's it's
I love
it's
it.
it's yeah, we're all conditioned to do these things. So
Yes,
it's not
and
as
don't
hard as
even
it
realize
seems.
it.
Yeah.
So I want folks to go visit your website. I want them to get your ebook series, Get Clever About voice acting and announcing, and it being in the written in the format of like dummies, for dummies, people like me, we can get it.
Yes.
And so do you offer, I know you had a mentor that was very instrumental for you. Do you offer coaching services for those that are interested?
I'm working on it. It's a kind of it's a something that's in progress.
Okay.
I'm work this year was really busy, so I'm trying to as the work and we're in the middle of moving, but hopefully by the end of 2021,
Okay.
I do offer coaching like little one-offs, but I don't have a program yet for people, which I think people want and need, especially after they've read
Yep.
the books. But it's coming. It's coming.
It's
So stay
coming.
tuned because there's on the site there you can get some coaching like sort of one-offs
Perfect.
off of the site, but some more serious programming will come at the end of the year.
Perfect. But they need to go to the website and get connected to you so they know when the full program comes out, but also do the one offs in between. Because what an amazing opportunity to get into something and to know that it's okay. After the first year, couple of years, it's going to take some time, but it's well worth the investment. Lili Lexu, thank you so much for joining us today. I so appreciate you.
It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Bless you.
Thank you. Well, oh my gosh, if that wasn't amazing, I'm telling you, like I told Lili, I am owning it after the first time I quoted, singing is Botox for the voice. I love it. So thank you for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Blueprint.